morning. Is it 1 o'clock already? Oh, well, hello, Principal Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise to greet Miss Cora Wilson's first
Thank you, Principal Robinson. Thank you. Oh, I see so many graduates in the Moonlight School. Thank you. I see so many graduates of the Moonlight School and people who have contributed so much towards our efforts to abolish illiteracy. Thank you. Well, as I stated, I have good news to report. In Round County, we now have only 32 illiterates, and the number is dropping daily. That is certainly deserving of applause. In these beautiful and precious hills of Kentucky, I see every day very individual people with individual ways of living. We are a people who live in the hills, who love nature's freedom and beauty, who are alive with song and poetry. Yet many of us are also poor and suffer oppression. Generations ago, our families came to these hills fighting to build a dream different from the injustices we knew before. And the dream lives on. Yes, poor of the mountains have been wounded, but we are not crushed. We have the blood and bearing of a noble people. We are a noble people. Our capacity for learning has always been immense. But the fact that we have even one illiterate in Round County is an embarrassment to all of us. We have a terrible problem with sickness in eastern Kentucky. In no place in the world is disease as prevalent as in illiterate sections. The precautions of sanitation are little known and practiced, and our innocent children pay the penalty with their lives. You say you have 6 children, said an illiterate mother in Round County to an educated one. That's nothing. I've buried 12. Life itself is more or less dependent upon the ability to read and write. I think it's important for me to address now a subject that's both very sensitive and painful for me. As I'm sure you know, I am very emotionally tied to the people of Morehead. However, I am constantly saddened by the lack of emphasis on the Moonlight schools and the continuing references to my personal life.
Cora. Hey, Miss Cora.
Oh, well, Charlie, welcome. Please come on in. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Miss Cora. Oh, mighty pretty flowers you got there.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. Please have a seat. Would you care for a cookie?
Thank you, Miss Cora. I was just over to Lee's cemetery.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell me a good joke.
Well, you know how many dead people are buried at Lee's cemetery?
No, I have no idea.
All of them.
Oh. Charlie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, how about this one? Do you know what happens if you unbutton your belly button?
No.
It falls off, that's what. Oh, do you know why the possum fell out the tree?
No.
'Cause he's dead.
Charlie, I think your heart is a little bit better than your humor. What can I do for you today?
Well, how you been keeping, Miss Cora?
Well, I still feel like I'm riding my horse when I go to bed at night, if that tells you anything.
Well, what's keeping you so darn busy?
Oh, I've been reading for families. I go around and read letters or anything they need read for them. How are you? How's Idabelle?
You won't tell her I came, will you?
Not if you don't want me to.
Ooh, she'd lit if she found out. So during near tore my ear off last Sunday at church, when she saw me looking sideways at Dulcie Parton over the pew, she got hot as a hen in a wool blanket. And gossip, If they gave out medals for gossip, she'd sink right through the floor. Miss Cora, she's been talking about she debated Joe Carter.
I'd really rather not hear about it. I'm far too busy to start getting distracted about my gossip.
But you don't know what they're saying. Now, Miss Cora, you know I don't believe everything I hear, but you know how stories travel around Morehead.
Believe me, I know better than anyone.
And then what happens is little children hear their parents. Little stalks got mighty big ears. You won't tell Idle I came,
No,
will you?
I promise I won't. But, Charlie, why are you really here?
Now, Miss Cora, you know I'd never do anything against your family.
I didn't think so.
I stood by you when they laid your baby in the grave, and all the problem with Alexander, so many things. And I knowed your family all my life, and I know the good you must be doing. So it likes to kill me when I hear folks slandering your name.
Oh, just don't worry
It's
about
getting
my
worse now
problem.
than ever, Miss Cora.
Well, all right. Tell me what they're saying now.
Well, you know Betty Boy and Ernestine Carter, right?
Of course.
Well, they've been telling everybody in the church they saw you riding through Farmers way after midnight.
I've been reading for families. No wonder they saw me after midnight. I've been reading for families around the clock.
I know that, but that ain't safe. And Miss Cora, well, ever since your second divorce, well, that's just unheard of around here. I mean, folks think that's heathenist behavior. They think you're going to go down to the eternal pit and fry like a piece of bacon in the frying pan.
Okay. I really appreciate you looking after me. I do. But I'm working on my own project, a very important one to me. After what happened with my problems with Alexander and the baby, I've decided I have to put everything I have into my work.
I know, but in their minds...
I've always been thinking petty thoughts, and all I can do is just look straight ahead and going with my work.
They're talking about having you disfellowship the church.
The fact that my marriage has failed has nothing to do with my relationship with God. I don't know why Morehead had to continue to worry about my problems.
Miss Cora, I didn't come here to get you riled up, but they've been hounding Brother Wooten to death. They think you should take a stand on your divorce and remarry, and he doesn't know what to do.
I know my marriage failed, but how can you possibly... What happened with Alexander? And the baby, and the drinking, and the fights, and of course I work with the day school. It's no wonder the marriage has failed. But I can't let that interfere with my work with the community.
Miss Cora, I'm your friend.
I know, Charlie. I'm sorry.
I just want you to be careful, and I want you to know who your friends are.
Well, I thank you for that.
I didn't mean to bring an old cloud of doom over your house. I want to leave you with a joke.
Okay.
I heard a hooper. What do you get when you mix a warthog and a hen?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it was funny.
Oh. Charlie, that reminds me. I've got something that might help you out. Here you go. It's a book of jokes and tall tales. Maybe that way you could remember better.
You know, my father believed that God's country could do without printing presses entirely. He thought it spelled out evil for the whole world to see.
Oh, that is such archaic nonsense. You know as well as I do that reading is such a beautiful joy. It can take you into worlds you've never experienced or may never experience. These pages give you such potential for knowledge. Of course you know that.
Well, you know, I'm afraid I'll lose it, so I'm going to leave it with you because I don't want to mess up your book. Now, you be careful.
You know how to read and write, don't you? Charlie.
Well, I guess I've gotten along pretty good without it so far.
Are you telling the truth?
Miss Cora, I can't read and I can't write. I thought you knew that.
Oh.
I mean, I wish I could, but I'm a grown man now and sure too old to be sitting in a schoolhouse with children.
Oh, you don't have to learn at school. You can learn at home.
No.
No, really, Charlie. What would you think if I were to come by your house twice a week and we began reading together?
I think my wife Ida would claw your eyes out. That's what I think.
You should know by now I'm not too afraid of anyone. I'd love to teach Belle, too.
You can't teach two old dogs new tricks. It's too late.
Oh, it's not too late. Your opportunity can come at the age of 6 or 106. Would you like to learn?
Miss Cora, to be honest, I'd give 20 years of my life, if could.
Well, then you can. You will. I have been secretary in my time to a number of literate folk. A mistaken sort of kindness. Actually, I should have been teaching them to read and write. Among them was an old mountain woman whose daughter had grown up and gone away to Chicago. One day she walked over to my house and she proceeded to tell me her story.
Are you Miss Cora Stewart?
Well, yes, I am. May I help you with something?
Yes, my name is Omi Stuckey. I'm the wife of Arvid Stuckey. He's got some of the best baccy in the county. You might know him. Well, Arvid's a cripple, or he would have come here himself. I guess I've been walking since after sunup.
Please, come on in, Omi. I'm sorry, it's chaos right now. However, did you find me?
Well, the magistrate Haldeman gave me your name. He says you might be willing to help folks sometimes. I don't have nothing big I'm needing from you. Just a little favor. You see, on top of 4 ornery sons, I've got one daughter I am so proud of. Jane. She moved to Cincinnati, got herself educated up there. I haven't seen her since I left. It's so hard to leave the farm. I just feel like there's this big wall betwixt Jane and me. And I would just love to see with my own eyes what Jane has writ with her own hand.
Well, Omi, do you have a letter you'd like read for you? Is that why you're here?
Well, I do have a couple right here. I guess I've been touching these and caressing them and everything else and just afraid to open them because I was afraid they wouldn't tell me nothing. I hope Jane ain't sick or nothing because there'd be no way I could find out. I just was afraid to tell Jane I couldn't read. She's afraid she came from nothing with a ma and a pa who couldn't read and write.
Omi, some of these letters are dated back from 5 years ago. How long have you been receiving these letters?
Well, she left December 11th, 1904.
A few evenings later, I was attending a pie supper over on a schoolhouse on Brushy, and the most beautiful thing happened.
Little girl, what have I done? What makes you treat me so? You've caused me to weep, you've caused me to moan, you've caused me to leave my home. In the pines where the sun never shines, and you shiver when the cold wind blows. Thank you all for coming to our pie supper tonight. Nothing I like better than hearing people hear me sing the song they like. And let's give a round of applause to the boys in the band.
balladeer. I love to see culture alive in Round County. What's your name?
Well, Philip Daly, ma'am, and you sure don't have to tell me who you are. Why, you're the lady in charge of the day schools. They call you Miss Cora, don't they? What do they call you Miss Cora for?
Ever since I was a young girl, I was called Miss Cora. I used to gather my friends around me and play teacher and ask them to call me Miss Cora. And the name stayed with me ever since.
Well, nice to meet you, Miss Cora.
Nice to meet you, Philip. You know, I was so moved by your last song last night.
Oh.
It reminded me of one my Mama Granny used to sing to me.
Oh.
Such a sweet memory.
You liked that one real good, didn't you?
I love that one, except...
Did I go off key? Did it go flat at the end?
No, nothing like that. You just left out a verse. Was that intentional?
Well, I did all the verses I can remember from my daddy and my granddaddy.
You know the verse, too many times I felt your fly.
No, I don't.
Oh, well, I could write it down for you.
Well, Miss Cora, I'm a singer, not a reader. And I'm sure not a writer. I'd write down every I knew if I could, but I can't. I've written hundreds of songs better than that one you like tonight, and I try to remember them best I can, but I always end up forgetting them before anyone comes along to set them down.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, I bet I got thousands of songs swimming around my head that my daddy sang to me and my granddaddy sang to him, and I try to remember them best I can, but they always end up changing. Sometimes I can't remember them at all. Usually happens to one I write myself. By the time I get to the end of the song, I can't remember the beginning of the dang thing.
Philip, you really need to learn to read and write. That way you could learn the songs and keep them recorded from your father and your grandfather. Philip, our mountain people have an emotional tie to the songs we sing. We sing ballads sung in England 300 years ago and forgotten there now. We're all who's left to preserve our own culture.
Well, I don't know nothing about that. See, Miss Cora, my daddy never went to school, and me, well, I only went to school up to second grade, and then I had to quit to work on our farm. When I worked on that farm, the only thing that saved me was the music in my head. That was like my only true bliss.
I see in you the very core of what I believe in. Language, music, and stories, they're all we have to document our lives.
Yeah, but songs and stories, they come and they go. No, any one's more important than the other.
Oh, I disagree. Think of how many songs and revelations have been lost throughout the decades.
Who's going to care about my ideas 50 years from now?
Philip, all a matter of how you value your life. As for me, I don't want my work and stories unrecorded and forgotten. Philip, our lives are art. Your songs are literature, but only if you write them down.
I bet you think I'm dumb, don't you?
I don't think you're dumb.
Don't get too close. You might catch dumb.
Oh, Philip, that's silly.
You
What
probably
are
do.
you
You probably
talking
think I said one of them dunce cones on head.
Philip, don't play stupid. It isn't flattering. You have far too much talent and sensitivity. So don't underestimate yourself. It's not your fault. You did what so many had to do to survive. Illiteracy is not a sin because illiterates are so often victims of their own lives. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
It was something my daddy wouldn't read a word about, but I could see it in his face like some kind of shameful secret or something. He's a man, too. My daddy, one of the finest. And I remember right before he died, he called me in, and he's mumbling. I could hardly understand what he's saying. But it was something about wanting me to keep on, you know. He thought if a man's work's forgotten, then so will be the man.
Philip, you don't want to be forgotten, do you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
These people aroused so much in me. These were the incidents that led directly to my dreams of the Moonlight School. Illiteracy should be fought with the fervor of war. And 2 years ago, almost to the day, I gathered the teachers of Brown County together with the sole purpose of stamping out illiteracy and freeing all those in its bondage. The time had come. My fellow teachers of Brown County, I appreciate you leaving your Sunday dinners for such a special gathering, but I assure you I will not waste a moment. This is a cause most worthy of all of our vital attentions as educators in Round County. Now, I'm sure most of us are aware of how many of our own neighbors cannot read and write. The state says 166,000 cannot sign their own names on their checks. And Round County is no exception. I would deny it if I could. I have resisted the statements. But there must be something done to relieve the situation. The solution, as I see it and as I expect to advocate with all my power and influence, is night schools. We cannot reach the illiterate folk by day. They, more than any other, are chained to labor. I expect that 2 years of Moonlight schools and a constant effort to enroll all in our day schools, and we'll be able to wipe out illiteracy in Round County. Then we can go over and help Carter or Elliot where needed. Will you help me with this plan?
Just a moment now.
Yes.
All these people come out here in good faith to hear what you got to say about these Moonlight schools, but now there's something you hadn't taken into consideration, Miss Stewart.
What's that, Principal Robinson?
This is rough country here in Round County. You got streams, you got undeveloped roads, you got cliffs, you got gullies, you got problems traveling. And Miss Stewart, I don't need to tell you, back in some parts of these counties where we got schoolhouses, you got people that are still talking about the feud. It's a dangerous country, Miss Stewart. Do you know that?
I realize that, Principal Robinson, how well I do. But that is precisely why we have decided to have the classes held on moonlit nights, so that the moon can light them on their way to the schoolhouse.
The moon?
That's it.
How many of you folks here assembled this occasion believe the Moonlight schools will work? Let's see a hand. Let's see a hand. My God, Miss Stewart, it's unanimous. You're the Moonlight lady.
All right.
So what? I was just paying her a visit. She's just family.
Oh, I know her, hon. What are you doing talking about with her anyway? I'm talking to you, Charlie Farley.
She hasn't been staying with that Murphy boy. Like you said, she's only been reading for every soul in the whole county.
Oh, I know her kind. She's Jezebel.
You mind your own affairs, Ida Bell. She's aiding the whole community.
Oh, well, goody for her. Why don't you just make her queen of the mountain then? Huh? Why don't you just go and marry her then? Wouldn't be nothing to you, now would it? She's already had 2 divorces, if that tells anything. And you know she killed her baby.
She did not kill her baby.
Yes, I don't know what good you think she's doing if she can't even raise a child to keep her family together. I think Miss Stewart, or whatever her last name's now, should spend a little bit less time gallivanting in the moonlight and a little bit more time tending to her homemaking.
She told me she could teach me how to read.
Oh, you read?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, that I would like to see. What do you think she's gonna do, huh?
Teach me to read.
I know what she'll do. She'll sit up to you real close. Then she'll slowly put her arm up and up and up and up. And then next thing she'll be helping you form the words with her mouth next to your mouth. And I don't have to tell you, Charlie Farley, the next step lies your own personal path to damnation. I think it's time to do a little old-time religion and prayer. Do the right and shun the wrong. Right will stand and wrong
I wish I
will
could
fall.
read. Then maybe I could block out some of your nonsense.
Shun the wrong. Stay away from my husband. Excuse me, Ida. What in the world is wrong? Keep your educated fingers off of my husband. I have stood by Charlie for 21 years, and I'm not going to let some fancy lady make a fool of me. I just have to make some noise about what you're doing as a woman of Round County. I think you're just getting a little bit too big for your britches, Miss Stewart. First, you don't like one husband, so you divorce him. Then you get another. Then you don't like him, divorce him too. Now you're trying to take my Charlie. You better leave well enough alone in Round County. Idabel, I have no intention of taking your husband. I'm just trying to help him and other people better their lives. I'm interested in his mind, not in his manhood. Oh, what do you really care? Huh? All of this attention you've been receiving, why, you're the most talked about woman in town. Folks going around calling you Moonlight Lady. What does that mean? Were you moonlighting on your husband when you was ill married? Were you moonlighting on your husband when your baby got sick? Were you moonlighting when your baby got sick and died? I think you said your piece. I think you said more than enough. For your information, my child died of a disease called tuberculosis. It has nothing to do with my being a fit mother or homemaker. I'm putting that painful part of my life in my past now. There's nothing I can do about that child. But what I can do is everything in my power to improve the living conditions and quality of life for people in these mountains, so that one day someone could do research on diseases like tuberculosis, and our innocent children can stop suffering. I'm trying to help all of us. Please don't fight me. I said all I'm going to say about it. Stay away from my husband.
You know why they call her Miss Cora? Because nobody knows her last name.
Oh, you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
I heard she's got old Dicey Thomas and old Dixie Carr going to school.
She's killing herself.
I know. Nothing's ever enough for that woman.
Husband of the superintendent, keeping company with moonshiners.
Moonshiners.
Mm-hmm. I bet he hits her.
I bet he hits her, too. She probably deserves. Somebody's got to keep her in her place.
You know, one time I went over to her house, and it took her a real long time to answer the door. And when she did, she was wiping away the tears, and her face was swollen, big as a pumpkin.
Oh, well, you know, she's been divorced twice.
Divorced twice.
Divorced twice.
Oh, and her baby? That is the sad story.
It was Labor Day, September 4th, 1911. Instead of shaded picnics with watermelon and relaxation, the teachers of Round County celebrated the holiday by going out to gather into school all who needed to learn. They went into every farmhouse, hovel, and shanty. We found that by going home to home, we had to open our ears and hearts to the many tales and pleas of the illiterates in our county. They had all the excuses that any toil-worn people ever have. They had rugged roads to travel, streams without bridges to cross, high hills to climb, children to lead, and babes to carry. And the greatest, weariness from the hard day's toil.
Now, Miss Cora, I got a wife and 4 hungry children. I'm out in that field when it's still dark as night, just as I can feed my family. I milk my cows at midnight and again at 6 in the morning, and the only time in between is the time that's mine. I've been a farmer all my life. That's what I know. And I've built up a standing in this county for my tobacco raising, not my book reading. And I don't want everyone knowing my personal business. Ain't something I'm proud of. I don't like feeling like a foreigner or a cripple when I can't read road signs. Can't keep my money straight. Been getting letters from the bank and I don't even know what they say. I'm not proud of it. And I know it makes things harder. But there ain't no way I'm gonna march down in that moonlight and let everyone see. I don't want my children to see that their daddy's ignorant. I won't do it.
Keep your distance. I got killer dogs and 4 hungry children, and I don't know which would tear your leg off the fastest. Who in the hell are you? Miss Stewart, I have left this cabin in 8 weeks. I haven't left the children, I haven't left the chickens, and I haven't left the field mice neither. I'm by myself now. Ernie ran off with a woman from the circus and took her to Louisiana. Darn men, I hate them. Wanted to sit with me 1 minute and work me to death the next, but I won't let them anymore. They come by and I kick them in the butt and never see them again. On top of everything, these ain't even my kids. My girl left him off when her man left her. So here I am, fed up men in the first place, having to raise 5 demons that ain't even my own. Think you know I won't come in. And don't you send nobody around to my house, or they'll be about as welcome as a bastard at a family reunion, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, there ain't no way I can get those kids to school, to shirts, and beds, and food half the time. It's a miracle. I remember one time this teacher came over to my house. After I fed her some victuals, she pulled out a brush and began cleaning her teeth. My little girl said, "Mama, what's she doing?" I said, "Honey, she's cleaning her teeth. When you get to be a school teacher, you can clean yours." I said, "Shut up, yapping. I hate you now." Yeah, it's a miracle I can come. I know I'm not going to, though. You can help me if you want to. I got 2 baby pigs to castrate, or you better keep on moving. I got real work to do.
The teachers had been invited. The schools had been opened. But would the people come the following evening? We expected very little, and we warned the teachers thus. On top of the Moonlight School opening, I was also giving speeches on behalf of the Moonlight School. I was exhausted. And just so some of you know, shortly after the opening of the Moonlight School, I suffered a nervous breakdown. But I kept on because I knew the work I was doing was worth a life.
You brought this on yourself. Brother Wooten was right. You shamed this whole county. Am I supposed to hold my head up high when I walk down the street when I'm married to a woman who lets her baby die? Cora, if you can't give me the family that I deserve, and if you can't put the time and love and attention into your homemaking and our family, then I don't see how this can last. I don't want to see your face anymore. Everybody in the whole county knows what happened. I'm ashamed. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody knew. Everybody knew. That is the one thing I regret. Everybody knowing the details of my divorce from Grant Carey, my divorce from Alexander, and of course my child's death. As if that were the story. The older and wiser I get, the more I have to accept that small town mentality of the attraction to the private and sensational. Oh, how Morehead loved detail, and how they knew them. But I don't want to go to my grave worrying about how this story will be remembered. It's not about me. It's a story about passion. A passion for a better life. A people with a passion who, instead of giving up as victims to their circumstances, yearned for something better for them in life. Yes, I made sacrifices. But the story of the Moonlight Schools is so outstanding that it will only be a matter of time until poets, artists, and sculptors find here a theme for their art.
Can you read? Can you write? I can read. I can read. I can write. I can read and write. So many. So many stories I've forgotten, though I'm full of time-worn tales. How's a soul to be remembered as years go by and memory fails. I will follow the moonlight. I will open my weary eyes and let the blaze of my desire outglow my lantern shine. She came to me like a star from heaven. Faith in her eyes was twinkling strong. And so I sing the Moonlight Lady to thank her truly with my song. Yes, I will follow the moonlight. I will open my weary eyes and let the blaze of my desire outglow my lantern shine.
Philip, that was beautiful.
I wrote it for you, Miss Cora.
Oh.
Ever since that first night I met you, you know, that night at Brushy at the pie supper, it's been all I've thought about. I can't get you off my mind. No one's ever treated my songs like they were worth nothing. And with all you're doing, well, I think you're the most courageous woman I've ever met, and I hope everyone in this whole county shows up for you tonight.
Oh, Philip, you're one of the most talented and sensitive men I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. The words in your song express the passion to my commitment better than any newspaper clipping ever has.
See, most people don't care much about songs. I mean, a lot of people learn their music.
Oh, but Philip, long ago we all used to dance and sing and sit in mystery to the poet's spell. We just need to remember where we came from.
You look beautiful wrapped in that shawl.
Thank you. As a young girl, I used to imagine myself a lady of many shawls. Before I would go to bed at night, I would count them, fold them, caress them, black ones, silk ones, all that my imagination could conjure up.
You're something. I don't know any ladies like you. You're like ahead of your time. Nobody thinks like you do.
Oh, or they do. They just don't have the courage to express it.
I hope I'm not being too forward. I mean, you gave so much to me, and all the buds I know can't describe the way I'm feeling about you.
Oh, Philip, you are a very sweet man. But I'm not a girl of 17 or even 21. And I am haunted by my mistakes.
I don't care about your past. I care about now. It's a mighty bright night.
Hope it's bright enough.
I wouldn't worry about it. I think the glow in your eyes is bright enough to light up a whole state and a good part of Tennessee.
I hope they'll find their way. We were all very excited about the first night. We didn't know what to expect. We had heard all of the excuses.
Maybe this time they would not be seeking excuses. Maybe this time they would be seeking knowledge.
And so they came. They came walking for miles.
They came carrying babes and all.
They came bent with age and leaning on canes.
There were boys, grown boys, who had to drop out of school at an early age.
There were girls who had been deprived of education because of isolation and who yearned for a different life.
There were women who married as children. Beside them were their husbands.
These and other country folk
followed the moonlight just to learn how to read my Bible.
Just to be able to read my children's letters with my own eyes.
Just to escape the shame of having to make my mark.
Just to be able to be somebody and do something in the world.
And so they came. Not 150 like expected. They came 1,200 strong.
I could see them in the distance, like hundreds of lightning bugs in the moonlit fog. Their faces glowing, illuminating their pride, their courage, their fear. This was a beginning victory on a cause we had worked so hard for. The schools were so overcrowded, we had to move the people outside. Afterwards, everyone was alive with delight.
Cora,
Yes, yes.
Cora, I can't believe how fast this is happening. After all my
Charlie.
pretending I wasn't missing nothing, and then for it to be easy. Why, tonight, I've already learned how to spell Charlie Farley.
Well, the next word better be Idabel.
The next word ought to be ugly. Miss Cora, I'm so happy. I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to carve my name in every fence, tree, and outhouse all the way from here to Hogtown. Miss Cora, I'm so happy. I'm going to do all I can for the Moonlight schools. I'm going to go and tell everyone to keep on learning to read and write. And maybe by the end of this, I'll be able to write my own joke book.
Oh, I'll buy your first copy, Charlie.
Charlie Farley. C-H-A-R, Char, L-E-Y-Lee, Charlie. Charlie Farley. F-A-R-R-L-E-Y-Lee Farley. I'm so happy. Hey, what you learn to spell tonight? I'll learn to spell my name. You won't never see me making my mark again. Never, never, never.
She is just the belle of the ball, isn't she?
Ida Bell, she's aiding this whole community.
I know she's doing it for her own good. I know she is. Here women aren't even voting, and she's out on the soapbox like she wants to be the next governor or something.
She's a real inspiration. She's aiding the whole county.
Oh,
Jealousy and stubbornness go hand in hand with ignorance.
I'm gonna go back to the blackboard and practice my bees.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. What? Oh, me Stucky. I didn't think I'd see you here tonight. What? All those letters. You mean to tell me you can read them with your own eyes? Oh, me. This is just the beginning. This night is just the beginning of everything. Whoa! Why, Addie Graham, you are the one person I didn't expect to see here tonight. All these people here, you little petunia, you just got lost among the daisies.
Don't flower me, Charlie. You're the one reason I came close to not coming tonight. Was after for listening to some of your bark. You know, they made me leave my gun and my dog outside. I almost left when they found that out. Good thing they let me bring the children in.
What'd you do with the rest of your children?
I stuffed them in a potato sack and I threw them over the cliff.
What'd you learn tonight?
I learned my favorite word, M-O. So it's a down tonight. I'm going to teach them to read and write.
I'm so glad you came.
Of course, Miss Cora. I've been trying to teach myself. Why, you've done so much for me. I've been trying to teach myself. I'd give me a speller, and every night I'd go up in the loft, and I'd try to think about all the things you told me. Thanks to you, you let me know that there might be something more for me than singing Bow Them Cabbage Down at an auction.
Oh, Philip, if you can learn to read and write, your songs will never be forgotten.
If you say it, I believe it.
I want you to believe it.
I believe it. Oh, Miss Cora, I got something for you. I stayed up many a night working on this, and And I might have messed up on some of the big words, but that's a song I wrote for you.
Oh,
The Moonlight Lady.
Philip, now your song never be forgotten. And neither will you. Soon letters began to pour from hands that had never written before to loved ones in other counties and far distant states. And usually, the first letter was sent to the county school superintendent.
dear Mrs. Stewart, remember me? I'm the one who came to your house with all my letters. Well, things are so much better now that I can read and write. I hold Jane's letters in my hands, and I read them over and over, and I write her back the same night. The only problem is that now that Arvid has learned to read, I can't get him out of the outhouse. Sincerely, Omi Stuckey.
Dear Mrs. Stewart, my learning may never do me much good. My hands are stiff and I can't write much. My eyes are bad and I can't see to read a great deal. But I see now what I missed in life, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going around to every home in my district just before school begins each year, as long as I live, and urge the parents to send their children to school. Sincerely, Jim Atkins.
My dear Mrs. Stewart, I wish to thank you for the Moonlight Schools. I've been going 6 nights, and I've learned to read and write. I am 53 years old and have written my very first letter to my mother. I've enjoyed coming to school and have learned many things. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm going to keep up my studies until I can read the Bible for myself. As this is my first letter that I have been able to write, I will close for this time. Sincerely, Martha J. Kinder.
In a movement full of romance and heroism, there is nothing more romantic to let you know than this. The first 3 letters that ever left the Moonlight School came in this order. The first from Charlie, who would have given 20 years of his life to read and write. The second from Omi, who can now read Jane's letters with pride. And the third from Philip, who gave me such a dream of hope. These letters answered the anxious questions in my heart as to whether the Moonlight Schools met the needs of those who made the appeal.
I shall pay tax. I pay tax on my cattle. I pay tax on my home. I pay tax on my money. Where does all this money go? See, stories about kittens and dolls and toys were insulting to adults. So Miss Cora started her own reading lessons about community news, and she started her own school letters called the Moonlighter. In each lesson, home improvements, health, sanitation were woven into them so folks could learn about things that affected their everyday lives. The Moonlight Schools began to spread like wildfire. Each one, teach one was the slogan. Each one, teach one. While there were doctors teaching their patients, there were children teaching their parents. Got to the point where everyone in the county without a pupil was a useless sort of fool. When it get down to the last 2 remaining illiterate, they'd try to run them over to Fleming County just to win the records. Soon other states began to open Moonlight Schools. Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, and and they all used the same aids that Miss Cora Wilson Stewart started in Round County. Now, as for Miss Cora, most people thought she hung the moon. But there were those few others who were either scared or jealous or just couldn't find it in them to see the good in what she'd done.
It was the brightest night the world has ever seen. There is nothing in my life that can compare to seeing hundreds of men and women marching out of these mountains to pick up a book for the first time in their lives. I realize that some people think I have done this for self-glorification. But I understand that some people know not the importance of nurturing one's own life and stories. For in these hard times, we often neglect our own self-enrichment. If you remember one thing from the story of the Moonlight School, let it be this. Take time to nurture yourself and advance yourself to your greatest potential in life. And learning to read and write can help you create that reality. There's nothing as precious to me as one whose eyes are filled with tears, voice choked in emotion, who stands tall with pride and courage and says,